changes in terms of technology, craftsmanship, digitalization that has come in, designs that were being done by hand are now being done on the computer. So all these things are bound to happen, and these are good things that have happened. The traditional designs have begun to evolve, and they're beginning to evolve in a really nice way. However, they still remain very, very, very traditional. Let's take, for example, the Rasi Todu. The reason why it stays in vogue is because this cluster of 7 stones bring in brilliance. It brings in elegance. So there's nothing to beat it. So what will happen is it will be a cycle. It will go through a time when it will be really in demand. Then after some time it will fade off. People will want something else, but they will keep that in their treasure and will continue to come back. After 5-10 years, somebody will say, you know what, I haven't worn this in a long time. And slowly it will start coming back into fashion. But the sad thing is that the number of skilled workmen are really diminishing. Skilled workmanship is really kind of something that we are finding it difficult to find more and more skilled people. With a lot of difficulty, I found a very beautiful antique necklace a couple of months ago. The workmanship was fantastic, really fantastic. I cannot even describe that kind of work today. If I had to sit down and make it today, the chances of me making a replica is zero. I don't know how this was made in those days without technology, without all these modern CAD, CAM machines, everything. It was made. So there is definitely a lot of skill involved. Now, coming back to how designs have changed in the last 3 to 4 decades, more and more evolution has really happened in the traditional designs. They are beginning to get a more Indo-Western flavor. They're becoming more refined in terms of a traditional flavor. That's probably what I would say largely. Today, people want a lot more variety. I have 100 designs in my store in 1965. Today, we're in 2021. I want to have 20,000 designs. You're not going to have 20,000 fantastic designs in your store. You know, you will have all kinds of designs, but some of them are really nice. And those are the evolved design. It's only some of them that are really there in terms of design. It's kind of classy, it's mature, it's elegant. I'm not saying it's less elegant than the earlier ones, but it's different compared to the earlier designs. We are doing padakams today, for example. We're doing very different padakams from what we did even 5 years ago. So that's what I mean in terms of evolution. It's the same design that has kind of evolved to a different level, more variety in it. You know, only a certain section of the society want to change a certain set of things. There's a large portion that wants to remain constant. If you have a limited budget, you're not going to blow it up. Now, the ones who are going to try are either the ones who have the resources to try, or the next generation, the ones in the last 3 to 5 years are the ones who are willing to step out. They influence the older generation. I have seen youngsters who like the younger designs, etc. They are able to influence the older ones now. And looking at them, they are also willing to change after looking at what the youngsters are doing. So there is a cross, influence happening, but at a design level, at a manufacturing level, at a creative level, we have to experiment a lot. When we bring out a new line, we find that out of the 10 pieces, there are 3 that are really fast moving, and 4 or 5 that are okay, and 2 that are just not going to ever move. And this proportion can vary depending on the kind of designs that we are creating. So these things are a matter of customers' preferences to some extent, and to some extent also individual tastes. Some people's tastes are very different, whether you call it evolved or not. It's separate. Aesthetics is very personal. Some people are slightly built, some people are well built, some people are rounded built. Depending on your personality, the product has a different kind of appeal when it is worn on you. You would need a variety of designs for the customer to choose, because not everything is going to look good on her. Every design is made for somebody eventually. There's a saying, in Hindi that says, "Dane dane pe khane wale ka naam hai." So every piece is meant for somebody, and then that this piece is meant for me. So when people bring back old jewelry, one of the first things that we do is to look at the product. A lot of next gen don't realize that the product is very beautiful. And when it is the case, we encourage them not to sell it, not to liquidate it, because 20 years later when she wants it, it won't be there. and then it's a regret that will happen. But we have to remember that this design was made in, let's say, 40 years ago by a certain designer. A certain family bought it. That is what they could afford it. They wore it with pride. They loved it. And that's the moment that you cannot take away, no matter how good or bad the design is today. But the joy of having worn that design, that pride, that's a feeling that design cannot replace. We as Indians do not respect our own workmen. Some of the finest pieces of jewelry, you will see it in Christie's catalogs, Sotheby's catalogs. It's a German author. They've written about the mango malas, the haram, the magris. They've written about it. Kind of thesis that they've done on it is phenomenal. You do have great workmanship, but it has to be recognized and paid for. If it is not paid for, they will go. There are people who can pay but won't pay. People will not pay easily. Element of confidence in imported goods. That is fundamentally the issue with us. And we are to blame for it ourselves. Quality has really evolved, but we have not yet communicated the evolution of the cost. My father, when he started business, he said a pair of bangles. Okay, we used to sell them for a sovereign was about 12 rupees. Okay, and he said the labor was the same cost. See the huge difference in those days. Today, even an electrician earns more than a goldsmith earns. That's what we've come down to. There is no value for labor and skill and craftsmanship. That is actually the responsibility of the consumer. It's not that I'm trying to say that, you have to pay more or anything of that sort. No, don't believe that buying cheap makes you smart. It's not that always. That you have already set a certain communication to the customer that gold is cheap, workmanship is cheap. You make a pair of earring, it goes, if the designer is not there, it first has to be melted, raw gold has to be given. There's a socket stage, there's a setting stage, there's a polishing stage, and then in the office you have quality control, you have pricing, you have salespeople, you have overall overheads, everything put into it. So people have to understand that. Coming to the next generation, a lot of them are now very keen on transparency, which is great. And that's probably the best thing that can happen to the industry. Then the right thing for us to do today is to cater to their needs, what they want today, and influence them with other designs also. Because with time, as you change, your body changes, your personality changes, your taste is bound to change. So we do have a lot of clients, who either they marry outside the community, marry somebody in the United States. Their lifestyle doesn't, with their clothing, the Mangalsutra, this and that, the Tali doesn't gel. So we have recently made the Tali portion in white gold, which actually was a hit.